circuit. Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps as well, I reckon.
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport.
Cranstone and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my God, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail, isn't it? Hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the final race meeting in Season 7 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. This is Split A of the two splits that we have going on this season, Split A and Split B. And what a circuit we find ourselves at for the finale. Mount Panorama, the legendary Bathurst. It's going to be an incredible night of racing in these GT3 machines. I am Chaz Draycott and I'm delighted to have alongside me in the commentary box once again the wonderful Ed May. Ed, we've got a hell of a circuit in front of us tonight. Usually this place synonymous with GT3 endurance racing, but here tonight these guys are going to make the most of it with 30-minute sprint races.
Yes, definitely. What a venue to host the final race meeting of what has been an electric season, hasn't it, in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Season 7 comes to a close here at Bathurst, and I think this is going to be, Chaz, our first time commentating on at least these drivers around this hallowed Australian racecourse, and it's a real treat for everyone in store tonight, of course. But what a championship it has been, Chaz, hasn't it? Really close up and down. I think, though, we may see champions crowned in both classes, actually, potentially, after just the first race.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how the championship looks at the moment in the elite standings. It's Fraser Smith, 575 points. Hasn't been on the podium for quite a while, but he's just been scoring points where he needs to, while Yannis Albert and Luke Lucchese have been chasing him down. But as you can see there, he's 42 points clear of Yannis Albert. He just needs to be 50 ahead by the time, that final race comes around. So I think he needs to finish maybe 2 or 3 positions ahead of Yannis Albert in race 1. And then Luke van Gortel is in 4th place ahead of Tristan Dinnebrega and Ryan Ottens in the Corvette. We have then Danny Lee, who's been really campaigning that Mustang around, in 7th place. Good run of form for him at the moment, ahead of Will Soper and Luke King. Andrew Fairley rounding out the top 10. But Ed, take it away with the pro standings.
Yes, thank you very much, Chaz. And in the last 5 races, Alex Fretwell has had 4 trips to the podium, 2 of those being at the very top step, which is in the perfect position coming into this final round of the championship. He leads Chris Jennings by 75 points, so he just needs to make sure that Chris does not outscore him by 25 points in this first race, and he will be crowned champion. Matt Hoyland in behind Chris by a measure of, 26 points. Again, close to trying to take that second position off of Chris in these final stages of the season. Victor Van Zeist finds himself in 4th. ahead of Bobby Trundley rounding out the top 5. Lawrence van der Water only 20 points back from that top 5. He's going to be trying to hunt down and see if maybe he can finish ahead of his teammate Lawrence de Dapper, who is in 7th. Jason Hodgson, close as you like to that aforementioned Lawrence de Dapper Porsche, with Jack Wyborn in 9th, and Stephen Donnelly rounding out your top 10. And Stephen's actually had a decent run of form, at least in the last race, getting onto the podium. We'll see if he can carry that form over into the final races of the season.
Absolutely, and it's not just the drivers as well that are fighting for championship honours, it's the teams championships as well, and RLH and RDSA Esports could both take the title tonight. It's looking a little bit out of reach for Axis Sim Sports, but let's not forget that these teams championships go on across both splits, so there's certainly a lot to fight for, and these drivers sometimes don't even know how the other drivers are getting on in the other split until the end of the night. It's going to be mighty close. We've got the Suma GP2 Porsches in 4th place ahead of Quartermass Motorsports. Then it is STL ahead of the 2 DXT teams in 7th and 8th. 9th place LS Racing, and then MJK Sim Racing NL are next up in the order. And it is certainly close all the way down as well. Only one race can change it all. But it comes to a time of the evening where we must reflect for just a moment. The entire community was recently shocked by the loss of a great friend of theirs. Our very own Ryan Otton's passed away, unfortunately, during the week between the races, and it is with massive shock that this news comes to the community here in the Evolution Sim Racing Group, so to speak, and all of the leagues and everybody involved. It really has rocked everybody, and we are obviously sending massive thoughts to Ryan's friends and his families for this tragic sudden loss. But some of the guys have prepared a quick video just to show some of Ryan's moments on circuits and some lovely shots from his time competing with us here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship with Ryan's favourite song. Ryan Ottens will be most terribly missed from all of his friends and family, I'm sure. A wonderful, wonderful human being that really brought together the ethos of this community. Very helpful to all of his competitors and friends within the paddock, a number of the RDSA guys, the likes of Luke Lucchese, Tristan Dinabrega, have paid their tributes in the Discord server over the last couple of days, explaining that Ryan was always there to lend a hand. He was always there in Discord with them, having a chat through the races, talking them through what was going on. And I mean, in our time commentating as well, Ed, we've seen the pace of not just these Alpha 1 esports boys, but Ryan himself as well, taking multiple race victories while we've commentated on him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I remember Ryan's first race victory at Mugello right at the final round of Season 4, which was our first time commentating on this championship. And I think we'd really taken notice of him earlier on in that season. It was a driver to watch where he was really taking it to the front runners. I think there was very few drivers that were really going to be running up with the likes of sort of the RDSA esports drivers, and he came on brilliantly at that point in the season. And then it took a little while, but finally at that final round of the season, it was a wonderful story. And then he kept on going from strength to strength, multiple race victories in the following season. And yeah, he is just a wonderful guy, because when we had those little race interviews, I know you were having the chats with him, he just came across so lovely. I was watching back some of the broadcast, and he came across so down to earth, so grounded, knew obviously that a lot of those drivers ahead of him had a lot of pace, and he still relished fighting with them at every single chance he got. And I know that feeling was mutual. It was great to see him sort of enjoying this community as much as everyone else enjoyed racing with him. And like you say, he is going to be sorely missed. But with that touching tribute, we also have some more tributes, don't we, from a lot of the drivers, just showing how much he was really loved by everyone here. We've got Yannis Albert on his first outlap for this qualifying, sporting the Racing for Ryan windshield banner, which I know a lot of the drivers tonight will be running.
Yeah, there's going to be a number of them running different colours as well. A lot of them running the, as it's been described, obnoxiously yellow colour of Alpha 1 Esports. Danny Lee and their Mustangs running yellow as well. I believe also Alex Fretwell running a gorgeous black and yellow tribute on his McLaren as he tries to chase down the Pro Championship title. Fraser Smith as well. These guys have a wonderful tribute on the roof of the car. It may be the wrong way up from where we are here, but it's a lovely picture of Ryan and the windscreen banner that's been made as well with the South African flag on it. Fraser giving it a bit of a weave down the back straight here. A lot of the drivers have also got black body parts on the car as well. It's almost like when you sort of wear a black armband in remembrance. It's lovely to see it, really. And like I say, the sort of outpour of emotion from everybody has been second to none. And hats off to all of those involved for putting it together. We really do appreciate them, and it shows you it's the community atmosphere, isn't it? You know, it's not the circumstances in which you wish to boast about it, but we've seen it since day one, haven't we, Ed? The community values of everybody involved in ESR have just been amazing, haven't they?
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is a championship where everyone wants to compete and go for race victories, but they are still mates that enjoy a little bit of banter in the group chats, and also, you know, friendly ribbing out on the circuit. If, say, a driver ahead of them, you know, makes a little mistake, they're always first in there to sort of raise the point. And it's that sort of sense of community that I think, at least you and I, Chaz, we really enjoy as broadcasters, as commentators, when we know that the drivers are racing and knocking 7 bells out of each other on track, but they're great mates off it. And I think that's something that all of the folks here at Evolution Sim Racing can be really proud to have cultivated and developed over their time as sort of runners of iRacing leagues. It has come across really impressively, as we have an Alpha 1 Esports car on our screens for what's set to be the first flying lap of qualifying. Luke King rises up the mountain to try and get that first time on the board.
Apologies, by the way, everybody, if some of the cameras around here are obnoxiously loud, like the yellow on the Alpha 1 Esports cars, because for some reason, every circuit I go to recently in iRacing has just sort of had this mad increase in volume. I've had a chance to reduce some of them as the broadcast was starting, but yeah, some of them are still a little bit loud, it seems. So I do apologise for that, but we don't mind when we get to listen to this Porsche, do we? Had this 992 GT3R. It's been a dominant force in numerous GT3 series that we've seen, and here at ESR it continues to be the dominant factor as well. Although, fair play to Yannis Albert, he's really made that fantastic NSX work this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, Yannis has been a real sort of revelation in that NSX, and seeing exactly what he can muster to come out on top tonight. I wonder if actually the NSX is going to go quite well around here. It does seem like a sort of style of circuit that might suit its characteristics quite nicely. There isn't necessarily that slow stop and start that we're used to seeing in circuits that are mainly Porsche dominated, sort of more traction dependent out of the slow speeds. Whereas here, these Hondas, they can be a little bit feisty, but they're also very good at getting that nose pitched in and carrying the momentum into and also out of a corner very well indeed. We'll see, of course, the Mustangs, the blue ovals coming through. Again, they've got plenty of straight track to run into and really stretch their legs. So again, we'll exactly see what Francois Brandet can do in this wonderful DXT Solar livery with the South African flag there on the Mustang logo blazoned on the side. Very, very lovely touch.
Yeah, it's a fantastic bit of kit, this Mustang as well. It's really shone this season, this car. It's been very, very cool to see that a car of that size, you know, at the end of the day is still a very potent GT3 machine and still runs to the same standard as other GT3 cars. Obviously, at the end of the day, they wouldn't turn up knowing it was going to be a shed load heavier than everyone else. It's just the pure mass of the body on that car is just awesome. Takes up a big load of real estate. We have Christopher Radloff in the Corvette here, the other Alpha 1 esports car out there on track tonight. You can see that previous camera is one of the loud ones. But this Corvette, it's not really been a car that's sort of stood out at the front, is it, this season, unfortunately? We've commentated on another GT3 season in the last 6 months where there were one or two drivers that really made it sing, but it's a car that always looks like it's right on the edge. I mean, we've seen that Christopher Radloff and Gilles Philipparts, in particular for DDK, have really struggled with it from time to time when the back end wants to go around.
Yeah, it just looks like the suspension just seems incredibly rough and doesn't like to play ball with anything that the drivers are doing through the corners. It constantly is bumping up and down and, like you say, right on the edge of almost losing control at points. But you can see that sometimes drivers on maybe sort of smoother style circuits can really bring it into its own. As we have, I think, actually Andrew Fairley currently topping the times in that Mustang. Definitely going very well at this moment in time. Yannis Albert currently second fastest. No improvements done on his last time around. What will Andrew Fairley be able to do? Does he improve? Stays obviously fastest, but improves only just, I think.
Yeah, it must have been almost identical lap times. Yeah, it must have been, because it's showing as a 202.44, but it's not gone green. So he must have been mere thousandths away from his best, which around a lap as long as this is crazy. Another thing that's crazy that we don't see often is the fact that it is all elite and then all pro drivers at the moment. We've not got anybody mixing it up in the groups, have we?
No, we don't. They're sort of keeping themselves apart from one another, taking social distancing to the maximum between the two classes. But Bathurst is really sort of almost a driver's circuit, isn't it, Chaz? One where the very best can sort of showcase their skills and commitment and bravery, because you're going at such high speed and the barriers are this close, especially going down the mountain as well. It just takes one mistake and gravity momentum will just carve you off into tiny pieces into those very unforgiving concrete barricades. So we'll see Chris Jennings down through Skyline. Yeses at the dipper. Ooh, you feel your sort of stomach drop, can't you? As you just see the cars get incredibly light through there, and then suddenly compressing hard again through Forrest's elbow. Hard on the power. Try and pick that point as early as you dare, because any time you can gain, and this long back straight will help you out massively.
So Chris Jennings is chasing down, of course, Alex Fretwell for the championship here tonight, and Fretwell doesn't have a valid time on the board yet. Looks like he's struggling. Fraser Smith, who's hoping to beat Yannis Albert to the elite class championship, is right behind him at the minute, just 80 thousandths of a second between them. Fairley has got a purple sector in sector 5 here, Ed, so he's continuing to push that boundary, isn't he? He's really pushing the limits of what this car can do. A little bit wide out of the final corner. Was it scrappy? It was still his personal best. And it's an improvement at 202.3. He just extends that breathing room that tiny bit more.
Yannis Albert in the pit lane, he won't be able to go around for his 4th lap now. No. So that is Yannis Albert's qualifying over and done with. So that's plenty of room for Fraser Smith to try and make some ground up and see if he can get ahead and really aim to seal this championship. win this first race of the night.
Here's another lovely tribute livery for Ryan Otton's as well. Ashley Brooks changing the colour scheme on his gorgeous Acura NSX, and he has the We Race for Ryan Otton's emblem down the side, which we've also added to the thumbnail for this event for this evening. It's very apt as well that the bright yellow headlights are ablaze on the NSX. It's a mighty good looking race car, and it's lovely to see as well. Marcel Breitenbach, here's a really cool take on that usual design that he has on the car. It's got usually this black livery with multicoloured parts all over it, but he's again taking it to, we're going to call it obnoxious yellow, because it's such a fantastic colour that Alpha One Esports always run. And again, it's just these beautiful touches from one team to the next. You know, it really shows the friendly nature of all of this. It's epic.
I think as well, Jean Breitenbach has done a similar tribute on his Porsche, but gone for a split down the middle of the Alpha One Esports livery, and then obviously his Barbecue Bread Racing multicolour on the side.
That's epic.
Lovely little tribute.
That's we're not really picking favourites. It's not a competition, but that's my favourite. I really love that. That's really cool, because when you see it like that, that is Ryan Otton's Porsche. When you see that side on, they have also retired Ryan's number as well. I believe it was 264 that he usually races in the championship, or 164, dependent on how the numbering system works for that season, because they often have that these drivers in the elite class will have anything from 100 and up, and then everybody else is below that. When they had 3 different leagues, of course, or 3 different classes, it was the 0 to 100, then 100 to 200, and then above. Andrew Fairley's gone even quicker as well. Chris Jennings, by the look of it, only 7th for Chris. I was expecting him to go quicker than that there, as Jean Breitenbach, in a lovely break of tradition, isn't hiding. He's hiding in plain sight here, and that's absolutely delightful to see, isn't it? Not sure if he's going to be watching the broadcast and trying to line this car up with where, obviously, where our camera is, or whatever to show that off, but it's a lovely touch. Malcolm Coates is hidden somewhere else. Marcel Breitenbach continues on in the Corvette, trying to improve on his lap time. Will Soper out there as well with their own tribute. They're also, I think, running the bright yellow wheels and the black side skirts on the car. Still looks great though, doesn't it, the Conehead racing machine? It doesn't, you know, on some liveries when you see a tribute, it sometimes stands out on them a massive amount, but it looks like part of their normal livery, to be fair to them. It's a very good blend.
I think, because they've got the offensive yellow mixing with the very offensively bright orange.
Yes.
So it does sort of complement itself very lovely. But with a lot of the drivers now coming to the end of their qualifying session, we've actually got Robert Backer coming through to round out a lap in his Mercedes Sim Racing Team Lowlands, instead of switching the white for black, as you'll see it come through there.
Whoa. It didn't want to
be
behave
on the power. Didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to cooperate one little bit. And I think that is Backer's qualifying session over and done. With Stephen Donnelly running a little bit wide, that might be an invalidation of his lap. We'll see as he comes over the line. Does not improve. So we'll be staying 4th in the pro class.
Yep. Very, very close between all those lot. John Breitenbach still sitting there on the start-finish line. I love that break from tradition. That's a really lovely touch, that is. That's a very, very lovely touch. He usually, for anyone that hasn't seen an ESR GT3 broadcast here on Chaz Draycott Media before, usually John Breitenbach finds somewhere in these qualifying sessions to go and hide, whether that, be inside a medical car or behind a barrier or something. He usually finds a place to go and hide. But this time round, he's just parked the car in plain sight. That's a really cleverly done touch. As we've got Francois Brandet on circuit, fresh from a bit of a bruising night again in the CDM Formula 1 World Championship. Francois now trades the tiny, nimble Formula Mazda for the even smaller and more nimble Ford Mustang GT3. Francois giving us a weave down the back straight. Sorry, the Conrod straight, let's say. One way, then the other. And again, a lot of these guys will be practicing their slow laps, because we have a lovely, lovely thing lined up for later on that you will all see during the races. We have 2 half-hour races here this evening at Bathurst. And we have something special lined up for the break in the middle. I love that sort of little delay there as the audio goes from behind us to in front of us as it goes past, even at slower speed. Laurens de Dapper is actually on an improvement of a time here, Ed. There's still qualifying going on.
Yep, still Laurens de Dapper, who's got one more lap to complete. This is that final attempt at some sort of improvement. Sees himself in 13th in the pro class. Trying to hunt down, find a little bit more pace, and get himself up the grid. We'll be starting on the 31st grid spot as it stands. Hard onto the brakes after all of that work, flat out through the con rod. Really nice way of attacking the corners. You can see he's just putting it all on the line now. Just the final corner to go. Again, a horrible corner. It's so difficult to try and find the apex on here. Put the power down. Up over the crest of the start-finish straight he goes and improves up just one solo position, isn't he? Up into 12th place now.
Yeah, just one single position for him by the look of it. So not a massive improvement, but still, that one place could prove vital when it comes to the race itself, which is just about to begin, the first heat of the night. We have championships that could be decided in this first race of the evening, so keep your eye on the likes of Yannis Albert and Fraser Smith in the elite class, and Alex Fretwell and Chris Jennings in the pro class. It's Andrew Fairley taking pole position by nearly 0.4 of a second over Fraser Smith and Luke Lucchese. Luke Van Gortel and Tristan Dinabrega make up row 3 ahead of Tom Weston. Good qualifying from Tom. He's ahead of Jean Breitenbach. Will Soper will start 9th with Alex Fretwell hoping for big things at the front of the pro class. Great from him. 10th overall, and he's got a good 6 or 7 elite cars between himself and the rest of the field. Paul Cowlishaw and Christopher Steinen make up row 6. Then it's Luke King and Danny Lee, with Dean Powell and Gilles Philipparts alongside them on row 8. Then it's Robert Backer and Matt Hoyland, second in class, ahead of Ashley Brooks. Good qualifying for Ashley there, car 19, P19. Then it's Thomas Pugh, 20th position for him, ahead of Jason Hodgson and Stephen Donnelly. Kevin Daniels and Bobby Trundley are next up on the 12th row of the grid. Then we have Marcel Breitenbach and Alexander Drabi. Chris Jennings down in 27th place here, 9th in class, with Malcolm Coates alongside him. Then it's Christopher Radloff and Laurens de Dapper. Matthew Croft for Axis Sim Sports lines up alongside Victor van Zeist. Then it's Laurens van der Water, Martin Kenyon and Francois Brandet. A lot of work to do there though, Ed, by of course Chris Jennings. A bit further down the order is Chris now, and he's got a long old way to go if he wants to catch up to Alex Fretwell. 16 cars between himself and Alex. That is a big ask in race 1, considering he needs to outscore him by 25 points.
Yes, that is a very, very hefty task. It looks like almost a mountain is going to be between himself and that championship, but Alex Fretwell, if it's some small comfort for Christian, is going to be right in the thick of a lot of hungry elite class drivers, won't he? So he'll need to be smart to try and keep himself out of trouble on a circuit where trouble just is right round the bend.
It really is. Andrew Fairley crawls the Mustang away with Yannis Albert alongside him. I love that touch of the simplified livery actually on the RDSA cars for Yannis Albert and Luke Lucchese. Fantastic looking machines with the yellow and Racing for Ryan on them as well. They've basically taken all logos and sponsors off, but Ryan was good friends with the guys at RDSA Esports, so running their logo is sort of apt for them as well, although Gilles Philipparts has pulled over unfortunately in the Corvette. But it's almost time to get going here at Bathurst for the penultimate race of the season here in round 10 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Andrew Fairley leads them round the final corner, tiptoeing up to the line. As we go racing for Ryan, Fairley has booted it and he's got away well. Fraser Smith immediately side by side with Yannis Albert. Fraser wants to take the title in this race here and now. He moves down the inside of Yannis, doesn't quite get the run. Is he going to beat him to the second corner? No, he's not. Just behind Luke Lucchese, tucked right in behind Luke Van Gortel. And a very tidy start from those guys indeed. Alex Fretwell in the McLaren running well in his class as well, Ed. Fretwell now looking down the inside of Tom Weston into the right-hander. It's a bit of a double apex round here. You need to be careful. Fretwell's got to play it safe, though. He's got Will Soper alongside him here, Ed. It's not a subtle car, is it?
No, it definitely isn't. You can hear just how loud all the action is outside. Alex Fretwell nearly getting pitched around into a spin there. I think he's just trying to give space to Will Soper, but nearly found himself getting pitched around by the Porsche. There's a bit of a roadblock starting to form now. Cars having to come to a standstill almost to get through here in one piece. Kieran Daniels found himself stuck between a Mustang and the concrete. There's another car slowing down just up ahead of him. I think
Chris Jennings. Chris
Jennings out, is it?
That is the end of the Pro Championship if Chris Jennings remains out of this race. Oh, Danny Lee just runs wide into Hoyland. And then big contact, sticks him in the wall. They stay where they are. Stephen Donnelly in the other Mustang gets clipped. This is what happens to Chris Jennings. Oh, he gets hit by Van Zeist into Stephen Donnelly, and the car is toast as he would here. And that is going to put pay to the Pro Championship. That means if Alex Fretwell just finishes this race, he is champion.
I think even if he doesn't finish, he'll still score enough points because it's all down to Chris Jennings to score and 25 points at a minimum, and then hope that Alex Fretwell doesn't score a single one. So Alex now, not sure if that information is going to be given to him. He might see on his relative, actually, Chris Jennings in the pits as he's coming over the start-finish line, which will be, well, maybe not the way he wants to win the championship, but certainly a very easy way to go about his business with a minimum of fuss. Paul Cowlishaw, we saw him off the road here, just at the end of the Conrad Straight, in towards this left-hander. Just overdoes it, doesn't he, on the way in?
Yeah, and he's lucky, actually, because the car puts itself in an awkward position, but he's got enough time and enough capability to get backwards and move out of the way. Yannis Albert in second place, Fraser Smith in third. He's 43 points ahead of Yannis at the moment. So with this race as is, if it finished like this, apologies for the volume, if it finished like this, he would not be champion at this moment in time, would Fraser. He still has to take it into that last race and just ensure that he isn't outscored by some 40 points by Yannis, which isn't the most difficult thing in the world, but he needs to still finish, and it's around Bathurst, so that ain't easy in itself.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen one championship protagonist out of the race.
Nobody is immune.
Yes, exactly. Bathurst does not care if you're leading a championship, chasing down in second. The mountain bites all the same. Alex Fretwell now just needs to, I guess, just coast it home for the next, well, just under 30 minutes. This is on board with Chris Versteinen. I think that was him just getting ahead of the McLaren, who had a bit of a mistake, heart-and-mouth moment for Alex Fretwell.
Yeah, what he needs to do is not that.
Yeah, the opposite of that, keeping it on the road rather than off it. Lee back up and running after his earlier incident. A little bit of damage done to that right-hand side, but might not be slowing him down too much as the Mustang convention has started to form up just a touch. Chris Jennings now back out onto the circuit, so if he is able to continue going, he will still score points, but they won't be anywhere near what he will need to keep this championship alive as it stands.
Absolutely. Just waiting now to see who's the next to fall. Jason Hodgson has had, I think that's the damage from earlier on. He's got big damage all over that car. And he is now, unfortunately, in the pits. Look at this though, Luke Van Gortel. He hasn't got the memo here that Fraser wants an easy run to this championship, and he goes round the outside of the Porsche. It doesn't work, and now Tristan Dinnebrega is going to get a freebie. And over through the right-hand side he goes, round the outside into the cut-in. Lovely move, but look at that. Van Gortel lobs it back up the inside. That was epic. Luke Van Gortel, take a bow, son. Wow.
Yeah, Luke really chucking it up there and making the move stick. Credit as well to Tristan Dinnebrega having the awareness, trying to maybe go for the cutback, but Luke was able to really put that power down on the exit and keep himself just ahead as they rose up the hill. And then it's just single file traffic pretty much from here until and there is all. Does that look like Hazy going off the road? I was wondering if John Breitenbach was going to try and take advantage, but John is not really in that position to capitalise at this moment in time. But still, drivers making mistakes left, right and centre just shows it's not as easy as it looks out there from up here.
How did we not pick up on the fact that Luke is literally running Ryan's livery?
Yeah. That is literally the Ryan Otton's
It is the Ryan Otton's
from
Porsche.
Seasons gone by.
It is. I'm so sorry, Luke. I did not realise that.
I think you did mention it earlier. I think it was during qualifying.
I must have. Yeah. With this,
don't worry, Chaz. You're not that blind. You did mention it.
There's been a lot to mention. Luke Van Gortel goes deep into the chase, into the chicane, and that's it. He's lost the place, and now Luke Lucchese is going to breeze on by on the right-hand side. And now, to be fair, Luke Van Gortel's not going to know who's attacking him. Is it John Breitenbach? Is it one of the Alpha 1 Esports cars? He's not going to have any clue. It depends which side he overtakes him on.
This side, he'll be seeing the Alpha 1 fully alongside now in towards turn 1. Keeps it pinned around the outside. John Breitenbach, he never backs out of a move, does he? But sadly, that's been his undoing as he's dropped all the way back now from fighting for third to now seeing himself just down in 6th place.
Yeah, these guys are certainly having to take it easy. At certain points of the circuit, it's really easy to overdo it. Now, hopefully, for everybody's ears' sake, I've found the way to turn the mics down on the fly without bringing up the UI. How good am I? No! How good are they? Christopher Steinen. Contact in the background. Oh, it's a roadblock. He's had contact with Luke Van Gortel. And Luke, well, he heads back to the pits. Probably the safer option there. But Luke Van Gortel and Christopher Steinen together there, Ed.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what happened there. Luke Van Gortel was not having the best few laps. And he just, I think, overdoes it. Car loops around by itself, and then a helping hand from the Veraco Mustang. But there isn't really a lot of time for Christopher Steinen to really get out of that situation. It sort of happens right across his nose, and unfortunately takes him out of the equation. Well, this is Andrew Fairley, and he's got Yanis Albert for company, that IDSA Esports Honda NSX, and I'm going to keep calling it a Honda, despite what it says on the badge. It is a Honda NSX, and it is trying to go for the lead of the race, Chaz.
It is. Andrew's having to defend as hard as he can. He has a little bit of a moment, and now Yanis has a bit of a moment as well. Yanis needs these championship points, so he's got to go chasing. He's really, really trying his hardest, isn't he, to get these points off that Mustang. It's not easy to do in the slightest. I don't envy him.
Not in the slightest, but once more, we did say, didn't we, Chaz, that NSX has gone very well with Yanis Albert behind the wheel, and especially around this circuit, it does seem to suit its characteristics very nicely indeed. The Porsche's not quite as strong as we can see. Well, in at least the top 4, 3 of them are not Porsches. We've got Andrew Fairley in the Ford leading the way. Then it's Yanis Albert in the NSX. Then Fraser Smith in the Porsche. But then right in behind Fraser is Tristan Dinarego with that NSX as well.
Yeah, these guys are... I mean, I'm just ogling the chase over the hill. It's incredible how close they get to all these walls. Hopefully the volume's a little bit more manageable now, by the way, everyone. I do apologise for the dramas that caused. I never knew that, though. I always learn about the iRacing camera tool, and you can always adjust stuff on the fly, even when the UI isn't showing up over everything. I've learned some new buttons tonight, and I'm well excited. Still, right now, Lawrence Sedapa, 6th place in his class, having a bit of a ding-dong with Christopher Radloff. Alexander Drabi in front is in the low downforce version of that Mercedes with quite a bit of damage on the front end. And to be fair, with no disrespect to Alex, it's been a bit of a theme this season, hasn't it, that Mercedes with the front end missing? Hello.
Radloff nearly ended his race right then and there, getting into the barrier in the car, squirming around as he tried to regain control of it. I was always convinced that was going to be race over for the Corvette, but he managed to keep it going to Christopher, and we'll see if he can now catch up and overtake Alexander Drabi, the Danish driver, trying to charge on up ahead and see if he can make any inroads on Marcel Breitenbach, who's occupying that 3rd place in the pro class. I wonder if actually that front end sort of, I guess, a low downforce package might be helping him out down the straight. It certainly looks very interesting to see a Mercedes like that.
You're absolutely right, though. It certainly could help him. What's not helping Alex Fretwell is all of these cars around him. There's Thomas Pugh in another one of the lovely tributes to Ryan Ottens this evening in that Lamborghini. Makes his way up the hill. He's got Luke King on the right-hand side. He's moved out to the right, I think, to overtake Alex Fretwell. Alex, yeah, letting him by and just saying, nope, after you, mate, after you. Our good mate Martin Kenyon has had a drama here, Ed. Whoa, and that is drama. Ouch. That's a sickening impact.
Horrible to see a race car impact on the side like that. Such a heavy speed. It's just one of those times where we are grateful that, of course, this is just a simulator, and I think we know Martin Kenyon doesn't have a full motion rig because that would have shaken his fillings out.
Yeah, that would.
It's always those side-on impacts as well in motorsport, which are the sort of hardest ones to watch, just because the cars are more designed for frontal impacts. That's usually where most cars, if they're entering a tyre barrier, they go front or rear on, never usually side on, which is where you always try and hold your breath and hope that things like the hands device are doing their work.
Yeah, it's remarkable the safety in motorsport these days, though, when you see just how much these cars can put up with. It is incredible.
It really is. And what's incredible here is this little battle that's continuing to bubble away, isn't it, Chaz? Andrew Fairley once more keeping an eye in the rearview mirror as he comes to the end of the Commonwealth Straight to make sure that that NSX is firmly in the rear view. Yannis Albert not really going for the moves just yet, but I can sense that Andrew might be starting to sweat a little bit. We've seen a few moments from Andrew where he hasn't necessarily seen those comfortable, but Yannis hasn't really been there to try and capitalise just yet, but we'll certainly see over the next few laps if he's able to make that move. Again, though, he's, I think, more conscious of the fact that he's got Fraser Smith just 5 seconds behind, and if these two start to battle, that Porsche could very well be in with a shout of a race victory should they slow each other down.
Yeah, Fraser's not going to muck about, is he? He's held off Tristan Dinnebrager at the moment, who will be trying to do his best to distract that Porsche in front. Yannis Albert is going to gain a couple of points on Fraser here and take that championship fight right down to the very last race of the season. We've not seen many seasons where that's actually been the case either. So hats off to Yannis for really turning that around, because the early season dominance of Fraser Smith, even with Kevin Poon on the mix, you know, it was just awesome, wasn't it? And he's continued it on all the way through. There's another tribute as well, another Axis Sim Sports tribute, the BMW of Matthew Croft. Right now, though, Kevin Daniels is having to stare at the back of it and just hoping he can get around it.
Yeah, lovely run though, doesn't he? He's got a great little opportunity to maybe try and go around the outside, open up the corner as much as possible for ride up the hill, but no, covered off brilliantly by the BMW of Matthew Croft. And good to see the BMW out there on circuit. Not a very popular car by any stretch of the imagination, not just for its aesthetics, but also just for its handling characteristics. And around here, being as understeery as it is, those walls do seem just that little bit closer in the BMWs. Flipping heck, Matthew Croft might need to calm it down a little bit for the next couple of laps, because he's been dicing with death on, well, more than one occasion on just that sort of half a lap.
Yeah, he's really been pushing the limit, hasn't he? Really been pushing it. And to be fair, it's not just the lack of indicators that puts people off the BMW. Gilles Philipparts has had a big old moment here down towards Skyline. Back end's going to go one way, then the other here. Or is it? Oh, there, it's gone. Oh, that's a horrible place to go as well, because then you've got to go across the track on such a stupid angle. And I think that Corvette has annoyed Gilles one too many times this season, and I think that might be that.
That could very well be that. At least for the first race of the evening. We'll have a second chance to try and recover the evening. Of course, we have two races there tonight. This first race of the evening, halfway to completion, with Andrew Fairley continuing to lead the way ahead of Yannis Albert, Fraser Smith in third, with Tristan Dinnebrager and Luke Lucchese, the two RDSA esports cars, in hot pursuit of that final podium place. But for now, I think the closest battle out on track is this lead battle, isn't it, Chaz, between Andrew Fairley and Yannis Albert. And it's just so great to see cars this close together, such a high speed through the mountain of Bathurst. Mount Panorama is such a technical, demanding circuit. It's one that drivers sort of circle on their calendar and make sure they put the extra practice in beforehand, because it really does punish those that are not familiar and aren't well sort of, I guess, acquainted and comfortable around here. If it senses any weakness, that's it, you're gone.
It really is art watching these cars move this quickly down here, isn't it? You're absolutely right. It's a wonderful technical track with so many different challenges, but all thrown into one lap. It's like, you look at circuits like Spa-Francorchamps, for example. You've got the legendary Eruge and Radion, I should say. You've then got Blanchimont as well. Very tough corners, but on the same lap, that's terrifying. Every single corner around this circuit has a similar impetus to somewhere like Eau Rouge or Radion, because the commitment needed to put in a fast time is just remarkable. Alex Fretwell still running in the lead of his class, and he's 6 seconds ahead of Bobby Trundley. Bobby had a great start to the championship, didn't he? He's been a little bit, I don't want to say flaky since then, but he's not quite had the performance of, well, that first sort of opening few meetings. But since then, you know, he's been pushing on time and time again. He's had a bit of bad luck here and there as well with incidents, but yeah, he continues to fly the flag and the bright colours of Quartermass Motorsport. And he's going well in second place at the moment with a decent gap over Marcel Breitenbach.
Yeah, I think we've touched on Bobby Trundley this season, and especially after sort of his early performances in the season with a race victory and then a second place in the first 3 races. But then he kind of had that lull, didn't he, where it just didn't quite go his way. I think you mentioned it, Chaz. It's the old rally sort of idiom of trees or trophies.
Trees or trophies, yeah.
Bobby Trundley has, I think, found equal measure of both so far this season.
Trees and trophies.
On track for a little trophy coming his way with that second place finish on the cards. Here we go. This is Kevin Daniels here, the DDK Racing team.
Nice.
Just up the inside there of Long.
Yeah, he gets ahead of Didapa, his countryman. In different classes, though, these two drivers. Kevin Daniels remains 12th in the elite class now, and Laurent Didapa is now 7th in the pro class, so he's not necessarily in a fight with him over any championship points. We look back here from Ashley Brooks in the gorgeous NSX at Jason Hodgson's Porsche, and then Robert Backer's Mercedes, and then Danny Lee in the Mustang. Danny continuing to push on and do what he can do to get some more points on the board and continue his good form. He's had a number of podiums recently as Danny, but he knew that out of a lot of the circuits, Bathurst was going to be the one to bite back. He and his teammate Dean Powell have announced that they will not be returning after this season, unfortunately. They like to do a season in a league and then move on and just find pastures new and test themselves with different cars and different combinations. As, wow, I tell you what, Jason Hodgson's having a real wild ride down the hill now, isn't he? Flipping heck, he's all over the joint.
He really is, and taking great advantage of that is Robert Backer. Yeah, Jason Hodgson as well. Taking advantage there of going underwater in the steps.
You can hear the Mustang, it's there somewhere.
Yeah, Johnny Lee, sorry, taking advantage of Jason Hodgson's steps. Listen to the sound of it, we've got the exhaust right in our face. There, blasted on by the Conrod straight now.
That was fantastic.
Wonderful.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Beautiful camera angle to get a full bore of that exhaust, isn't it?
I had to pull my headset away from my head. I don't know about you, but I was also gritting my teeth like mad through all of that. It's not broadcastable.
Just rattling out your skull with that sound of that Mustang.
It's not broadcastable to tell you how many parts of my body just vibrated through all of that. That was immense. Andrew Fairley, he's got to listen to that all race though, and he's got that sort of drone of Yannis Albert's NSX behind him. The NSX, by comparison, it's similar to the sort of modern day Ferraris in GT racing, isn't it? It's not here to make a song and dance about what it's doing, it's just here to be a bit under the radar and just crack on and do the job. And the NSX has been fantastic this season, since the very first round.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of weird seeing Yannis Albert though in anything other than the sort of Lamborghini. I'm used to seeing Yannis in that Lambo, but obviously it's a similar shape, isn't it? It's a bit more of a sort of a wedge. If you describe a car as anything, you describe the car like the Mustang as a brick. I'd call this NSX a bit more like a wedge, sort of.
A doorstop.
Similar characteristics. Yeah, a doorstop. Very similar to that Lamborghini. The highest placed Lambo at the moment is one of only two. It's Thomas Pugh out there for Axis Sim Sports, currently 9th in class and overall. Tom Weston rejoining the circuit. I think had a little bit of a brief moment, but kept the foot flat to the floor and carried on.
It's been a bit quiet tonight, is Tom, actually. We usually see him in some sort of drama somewhere. He never has a quiet race, but I'm sure if he has a quiet one in this race, he'll be happy to round out the season with a bit of that. Here's the beginnings of the V8 convention between Matt Hoyland and Alexander Drabe. Hoyland started right near the front of the class, but obviously had that contact with Danny Lee and then got going again, but has had to regain places. 5th in class though, he's not having a bad run, is he?
No, definitely not Matt Hoyland. It's going all right at this moment in time, and they say he's 5th in class at the moment, but that could easily be 4th if he's able to get up ahead of Alexander Drabe. You can see, of course, that battered and bruised Mercedes, but it's still going strong, not giving up one little bit. And with just 8.5 minutes to go, things are looking pretty good for Alexander for a chance of getting a good result here tonight, as I think we just saw Christopher Radloff and Kevin Daniels going for a little bit of a ding-dong out of turn 1. Obviously not for class position, but the drivers, they're still allowed to race between the classes. There's nothing in the rule book that states, oh, if you're in the sort of pro class, you must give way to an elite class driver. The drivers are allowed to fight. It's just obviously the way the points are scored. It doesn't necessarily incentivize it as much. Still great to see the fights in there. Christopher Radloff coming out on top in that Alpha 1 Esports, Chevrolet Corvette. Ooh, getting close to the barriers, but I think that's just the way to drive this circuit fast, is to drive sort of towards the barriers but not into them.
Yes. Yeah, almost like you're trying to scare the barrier further away. That's how you've got to drive Bathurst. You're trying to move the scenery without damaging your car. Do a little bit of landscaping. Luke King and Thomas Pugh side by side here. The Alpha 1 Esports Porsche on the inside of the Lamborghini. Thomas, lovely move around the outside, leaves plenty of room. Can he get it stopped for the inside line there? Is Luke going to give him enough room? Yes, he is. Alex Fretwell, he won't want this. He's not really under threat from Bobby Trundley with 7 minutes to go, but any sort of tenth of a second you lose is one that you don't want to lose. And I think Alex Fretwell's not going to be frustrated by this, but he's just going to be a little bit weary, isn't he, at this stage?
He knows what he needs to do, though. You could just hear how much he was lifting going in towards that final corner. So after seeing all that action up ahead, realising that he will not gain anything from battling with Luke King and Thomas Pugh, even if they're slowing each other down, his fight is against Chris Jennings, and he just needs to make sure Chris Jennings doesn't outscore him by 25. And by the look of things, Alex Fretwell is going to come through. Ooh,
oh, don't say it now, Ed.
He's backing out of everything. I am going to keep my mouth firmly shut now, but he's backing out of everything because he realises that he's on track to win this race tonight and also win the championship, which is exactly what you want as a driver, is it to win your championship and the race all at once.
Yeah, double celebration. God, when did this Mustang get loud again? Flipping heck. That iRacing has got louder overnight, I swear. It's absolutely ridiculously loud at the moment. Normally I only run it on 8 volume and run the entire PC on 50, but flipping heck. I don't know what it is tonight. Still, great fun is had by all. Thomas Pugh ahead of these guys now, with Luke King still very much filling the windscreen. Well, I was going to say that actually, but Luke's disappeared. He's absolutely driven off at this stage. Now he's over the site of the Lamborghini. He's fed up of it. He's like, you know what? Nice tribute, mate, but I'm off. I'll see you in a bit. Andrew Fairley and Yannis Albert have spread out slightly. On that previous lap, there was only about a tenth of a second in it. But this lap, I think there's a little bit more than that, isn't there, Ed?
Yeah, it seems to be. It's Andrew Fairley definitely kicking on now ahead of Yannis Albert.
Personal best as
that
well.
Last lap, that was exactly why you get what I said. Exactly, you were right, Chaz. About half a second over Yannis Albert on that previous lap, and it's what we saw last night, isn't it, Chaz? The driver in the lead, it looks like he's under pressure, and then all of a sudden, in the last sort of 5 minutes, kicks on, goes about his business. This is very sort of Jesper Eriksson-esque, if people were watching last night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just ticking over for Andrew Fairley at this point, isn't it? It's certainly been a great lights to flag drive. He had a really good run back at Imola as well, if we remember rightly. Is a little kiss of the barrier there. He's still pushing the limits, isn't he? He's not backing off.
Well, certainly you've got to push the limits around this circuit. As soon as you start to sort of drive anything other than flat out around here, and sort of your muscle memory starts to almost work against yourself. The drivers put so much work and practice into getting the maximum amount of lap time through there, pushing at the very upper limits of what they feel comfortable with. So as soon as the drivers start to back away from that, it all feels very alien, and that's when you can start to see some mistakes creeping in. So Andrew's doing exactly what he needs to do, going full chat, mainly just to keep it on the circuit and what he's comfortable with. Again, Forest Elbow, really nice exit there from Andrew, and he's reaping the rewards as he's just streaking off into Bathurst Sunset. Again, what was that? Out of that one corner alone, nearly, was that 2/10, 1.5? Before the slipstream obviously works in Yanis's favour. That was a really good exit by Andrew.
Yeah, he's doing an absolutely belting job, isn't he? It's just great to see two very different cars fighting like this at the sharp end of the order. Paul Cowlishaw in another one of the NSXs. He's got a few of the pro drivers in front of him now. And then Kevin Daniels, 4.5 seconds up the road. In these moments late on in the race, Ed, you need to just remain hopeful that... I mean, you never want to wish anything bad on your competitors, but he's just going to be hopeful now that something slows them down further ahead and he can just maybe take advantage in the final laps.
Yes, it's all about just being careful, being cautious, and especially realising with these races, with that reverse grid up and coming, with the top 18 drivers being inverted, means that it's not necessarily just about going hell for leather if you find yourself up in that top 18. Paul Cowlishaw does see himself outside of it, but Paul not really going to be gaining anything by going for moves. Here we go though, there is a driver that's got something to gain, and it is Matt Hoyland on Alexander Drabi. Again, Alex having to go defensive to the inside to keep that Mercedes in the rear view. Lap upon lap, Matt Hoyland is looking all the more impatient, shall we say, to get up and ahead of the Dane.
Yeah, that Mercedes, again, he makes it work. I mean, to be fair, I think he's turned up to half the race meetings without the front bumper on that car, just to say, you know what, stuff it. Cowlishaw, who I was mentioning earlier, it'd be great if I could speak, wouldn't it? He's just got ahead of Matthew Croft in the BMW. Matthew, I think, playing it easy is Tristan Dinabrega. He has a bit of a wobble over the top of the mountain there. Careful, Sunshine. Luke Lucchese right behind him. His teammate, despite running in the Alpha 1 Esports colours tonight for Ryan Ottons, he is a teammate to Tristan. Not that that's ever stopped him. We've seen these guys fight like cat and dog before, haven't we? And now very much they are going to, I'm sure, in the Porsche and the NSX.
Yeah, Luke Lucchese. I love this. I just get taken aback all the time by the sound of this just beautiful Porsche 911. We really are spoiled for choice on iRacing, aren't we, for wonderful sounding GT3 machines.
Oh, we are.
To do it scream its way down the Conrod Straight. Just absolutely wailing away. Good little run through this complex by Luke Lucchese. Just trying to eat into Tristan Dinobrega's advantage, but I'm fairly certain these two are probably just going to hold station for now, with Fraser Smith just where he is at that moment in third place.
I just love riding on board with it. Like you say, it's the noise of it. It's just awesome. Andrew Fairley is now on the final lap of the race, and I think he's going to feel a little bit of relief at this point, isn't he?
Absolutely. I've been in this situation numerous times, and when you've been looking in your rear view mirror for, well, every single lap since the green flag, as soon as you see that white flag come up, it's sort of a huge wave of relief washes over you. You think, okay, just one more time around, and then I won't have to deal with that thing chasing me down. And that is exactly how he'll be feeling as around the water. Oh, right at the end of the race, there was already a bit of damage on the front of the Porsche, and then the bonnet comes flying off from the second contact with the barrier.
Lawrence van der Walter at that point. Sorry. He's really put it in the barrier. Look at that, 3 wide. Danny Lee, Matthew Croft and Paul Cowlishaw. Croft down the inside says, stuff your NSX, we're going back through. Watch this, look at the size of this car. And then Danny Lee says, come on boys, what are we playing this game now? Big car, watch this. Through on the left-hand side he goes. There's some dramas further up as Luke Lucchese. Oh no! Luke has stuffed it into the barrier. Luke has had a big off on this final lap. This is Jean Breitenbach going through. Oh, he's kissed the wall. Oh, bang. Left-hand side of that car. Very, very badly damaged for Luke Lucchese. He'd be hoping it was Jean Breitenbach's Porsche, so he doesn't really worry the Alpha 1 Esports livery. He's going to drag it to the end, though. Fair play to him. But what a fantastic drive this has been, Ed. We've seen Andrew Fairley do this before at Imola, and he's done it once again here. Fantastic victory for Andrew Fairley take a bow, son. Yanis Albert will be over the moon with that second place, though. He's going to score big championship points there. And Fraser Smith is going to take third place. He's done one of the jobs here tonight. He's just got to do it in the second one. But what about this in the pro class, Ed? They are actually going to finish line astern on the road here, but it's going to be Fretwell to take the honours.
Yes, it will be. Alex Fretwell came into this final round of the championship with a very comfortable position to be in. He just had to outscore his main rival, Chris Jennings, but he did more than that. He went through and got that pole position in his class and then went on to win the race in dominant fashion. Brilliant drive there from Alex Fretwell, and I think that race sums up his entire season. He has been the class of the pro class.
Absolutely. Alex Fretwell is your Season 7 Pro Class Champion in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. And very well done to him. He's straight out the car to go and celebrate by the look of it. He's off for a beer. Robert Backer finishes 19th overall, 12th in class. Matthew Croft just behind. There were some dramas near the end of the race there for some of those guys in that fight. Danny Lee dropped down. Paul Cowlishaw also dropping down. Let's have a quick look here. Oh no. Oh. Oh my. Well, that was the biggest hit we'd seen all night down there for Danny. That'll be on his Instagram next week.
Yeah. And then, so this was it later, I think. Actually, no, it seems to be all fine. But yeah, this is actually Francois Brandet coming through.
Yeah, you can tell him he's last, Ed.
Yes.
This was a bit later. Francois crossing the line.
Yes.
Poor Francois. Oh, he's a funny bloke as Francois. He's fantastic as Francois Brandet. Such a bloke of humour. A very, very funny man. But goodness me. A busy, busy race there indeed. We'll take a quick look at the race results. We'll fly through these ones from the very first heat of the night. Andrew Fairley wins from Yanis Albert and Fraser Smith. Those two go into the final race of the season with the championship to fight for. Tristan Dinnebrager next up, ahead of Jean Breitenbach and then Tom Weston. Good run for Tom in that one. Luke King finishes 7th ahead of Thomas Pugh and Will Soper. Dean Powell completes the top 10. Then it's Kevin Daniels ahead of Robert Backer. Christopher Stein and Luke Lucchese eventually a lap down in 14th. Paul Cowlishaw 15th. Danny Lee 1 lap down by the end, ahead of the likes of Gilles Philipparts next up. And then Luke Van Gortel in 18th place. Ed, the pro standings are all yours.
Thank you very much. And it was the champion's drive from Alex Fretwell who wins the second to last race of this season in some style, finishing 5 and a bit seconds ahead of Bobby Trundley. Marcel Breitenbach there in 3rd, just ahead of Matt Hoyland. Alexander Drabi did great to hang on, didn't he, to the end with that battered and bruised LS Racing Mercedes to come through in 5th place, finishing ahead of Christopher Radloff. Lawrence De Dapper will start actually on pole position with Matthew Croft in 8th, Jason Hodgson 9th, Victor Van Zeist in 10th with Francois Brandet 11th, Lawrence van der Water 12th, Stephen Donnelly, Chris Jennings, Ashley Brooks, Malcolm Coates and Martin Kenyon rounding out your field in the pro class. And Chaz, we have another lovely and very poignant tribute here for Mr. Ryan Ottens.
We absolutely do. The guys from Alpha One Esports will be leading a parade lap of the circuit. They'll be flashing the lights and they will be paying their respects to their lost colleague and good friend Ryan Ottens. Ryan was, like we've said before, a massive staple in the community, a real stalwart of Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship and all of their other series as well. Ed and I have had the pleasure of not just commentating on Ryan, but also racing with him too, and he was tragically taken from us during the week leading up to this final round of the season. So our thoughts are with his family, his friends, his colleagues as well, and his teammates, everybody involved with the wonderful man that he was. And we're going to leave you for a few minutes here while we have this gorgeous parade lap with all of his teammates and colleagues together. And now the drivers will all pull into the pit lane. They will all remain in their cars, and we will now observe a couple of minutes silence for our fallen colleague, Ryan Ottons. Well, Ed, we've seen some pretty touching things in our time in sim racing, but that's got to be one of the most well-choreographed displays I think I've ever seen. Hats off to the guys.
Yeah, really, really well orchestrated and well done. It was, I think the bit that got to me most was just seeing Luke King and the Alpha 1 Esports Porsche. That was Ryan Ottons' car, wasn't it? The car that we'd been so used to seeing him going side by side with obviously the Corvette that we'd obviously the Corvette that we'd been seeing him run in obviously this current season. To see that Porsche go alongside and then just edge ahead in sort of the more familiar Ryan Otton's machine, both of them side by side, of course, it was really quite an emotional moment, and it's great to see the entire community coming together and then also embracing another side, the sort of slightly sillier side that we know Ryan's would have loved as well, seeing all of the cars burn some rubber and attempt to do some donuts for him.
Yeah,
He will
this
definitely
is
be missed.
mega. And even, in a moment like this, Fraser Smith and Yannis Albert, they're competing so fiercely for this championship in the next race coming up. But, differences aside and championship fight aside, they're still both getting in touch with, the right cause here as part of this night and not letting it get in their way, and they're not letting their battle get in the way, I should say. This is, awesome to see. It's obviously horrific circumstances in which it comes about, but hats off to the guys for organising this and for coming together as a community. This is lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really wonderful stuff to see everyone showing tribute to Ryan in the best way by burning some rubber in his honour.
God, look how much rubber there is actually down. Is that going to affect the race?
Might well do. Obviously, it's not all the way through a corner, so maybe it should be fine. There's not going to be any extra grip laid down in terms of cornering speed, but certainly interesting, isn't it, to think about, at the very least, as Hoyland.
Nope.
It
wouldn't
friends
be
with another Mustang.
It wouldn't be Matt Hoyland and one of his teammates without hitting each other, would it? That is remarkable. Absolutely. But Ryan, we miss you, and of course we always will. Hats off to the guys for organising that.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff. It's been a very emotional night, but we've still got one more race to go here, Chaz, don't we? And Lawrence Dedappe, he'll be very happy with finding himself on the front row in pole position.
Lawrence Dedappe? No.
Dead happy.
Dead happy. Wow. He starts on pole position for the final race of the season. Christopher Radloff of Alpha 1 Esports, after that touching tribute, will start alongside him. Kevin Daniels and Alexander Draby will start on row 2. Then it's Matt Hoyland and Marcel Brayton back in the really obnoxiously loud Corvette. Then it's Bobby Trundley alongside Alex Fretwell, the newly crowned pro champion. Dean Powell and Will Soper are next up alongside Thomas Pugh and Luke King. Then we have Tom Weston and John Brayton back. Tristan Dinnebrega, Fraser Smith, importantly, starting ahead of Yannis Albert, with Andrew Fairley starting 18th. Then it's, as they finished, Robert Backer, Matthew Croft, Jason Hodgson, Chris Versteinen, Victor van Zeist, Francois Brandet, Laurens van der Wouter, Luke Lucchese, Paul Cowdershaw, Danny Lee, Stephen Donnelly, Chris Jennings, Ashley Brooks, Malcolm Coates, Gilles Philipparts, whose wheelbase disconnected earlier, and Martin Kenyon with Luke van Gortel. So one more race this season, Ed. It's been an amazing season yet again, and plenty of action up and down. We've announced the news, unfortunately. Ed and I won't be back for next season. You'll be in some very capable hands, though, I'm very happy to tell you. But this final bow out for us, Ed, this season, fireworks or not? What do you reckon?
We'll hope so. It never disappoints, does it? And we'll hope that this season gets the send-off that it has so richly deserved. We come into this, obviously, with a championship still on the line, don't we, Chaz, in the elite standings? So we will keep our eyes on that battle. But right now, attentions will be at the very front. Laurens de Dapper and Christopher Radloff getting this final race of the season underway.
Christopher Radloff really going for it in the Corvette. Laurens van der Dapper, flipping heck, Chaz, you've ruined the moment. Laurens de Dapper leads the way then down towards turn 1. Final race of the season in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship here at the delightful Mount Panorama. How's it all going to pan out? We've got Fraser Smith and Yannis Albert in the middle of the pack, hoping to gain places, hoping to gain time. Fraser Smith has got a lot of places that he can give up in this one and finish behind Yannis. He doesn't need to push it and force himself to take the win. But will we see that happen? This is Fraser Smith. He won't hang back. He won't slow down. We'll have to see. He wants to go out in a blaze of glory at the end of this season. Bobby Trundley there, well, he's not having a blaze of glory around the outside there. He's lost a bunch of places, Ed.
Yeah, it really is. He's got someone in behind him. That's Will Soper for Conehead Racing, who's already been muscling about himself with Dean Powell. Meanwhile, John Brayton back. Following now, Tom Weston, up for DDK Racing Team. Get a great view of a little bit of smoke up ahead. Is that Bobby Trundley again?
It is Trundley.
More issues.
Trundling.
Pulled it. Seems to have gone back up to racing speed now, but that's a scary moment. If you are Fraser Smith, again, there's a car just ahead of Fraser. Nearly got to the back of Robert Backer, nearly into the back of Bobby Trundley. It could have caused a massive incident with big championship ramifications just ahead of Fraser Smith. He does not want to get caught up in this and wants to get through this pack as soon as possible. But cracking start from the pair of them, both Fraser and Yannis, keep themselves out of trouble.
I tell you, oh no! You said it. Ed said it. Blame Ed. It's all Ed's fault. Yannis Albert clips Forest Elbow. Is that going to knock the steering completely out? I think it's all right. Looking at the Acura logo in the bottom left, should be okay. I was going to say,
like?
I'm gripping my mouse so hard, I'm clicking all the buttons all at once as they came back down the hill. Yannis Albert now in front of his teammate Bobby Trundley. Oh, sunshine, just alt F4 it. What a night for Bobby Trundley. He's had an horrible, horrible night. Laurens de Dapper still leads the way from Radloff. Kevin Daniels going well as well, leading the way in the elite class. But if you look at this, look, we've got one elite driver in the top 7.
What was it we said for Bobby Trundley? Trees or trophies? He's had the trophies of the podium, and now he's well and truly off in the trees, not having the best of races in that first lap, but can see if he can claw something back for the remainder of the night. Laurens de Dapper leads though from Christopher Radloff, Alexander Drabi in third, but here we follow Dean Powell and Luke King in the Alpha One Esports Porsche, trying to find a way through a way past for Danny Lee Racing. Obviously, it's been great to have Danny Lee Racing yet again on our screens here at Chaz Draycott Media, but they will be departing this championship after tonight. What Dean like to do is sort of jump between different leagues, don't they, on iRacing, to sort of give a sense of the wider community. Is obviously Danny streams the broadcast, or well, not the broadcast, but the races rather, from his point of view to his audience. An audience that is continuing to grow week from week. He's hit the 100k mark, didn't he, Chaz, over the course of this season?
He absolutely did.
So it's great to have so many different drivers and so many corners of iRacing, being able to experience the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and Chris may have experienced his last few laps, and so as well as Martin Kenyon, I think, into the barrier. And it's
my
big impact.
Word! How has he done that?
And Martin Kenyon follows him through just a few seconds later into that very same tyre barrier.
Yeah, Francois Brandet, I think, was the first car on the scene. He's not going to believe his eyes. No, he's just going to see this car Look at that. Who was that 2 cars or so ahead? There was one of the, I think Luke Lucchese was ahead, and then maybe Matthew Croft, and yeah, there's a Mercedes off as well. That's Robert Bakker. Wow. It's all kicking off, but that was a monumental accident for Chris Verstappen. Andrew Fairley, no, race 1 winner. Race 1 winner in Strife. That's towards the end of the lap, is it not? Yeah, that's on the exit of the chicane.
Very rare there's a car having a moment there without some sort of contact. We'll see exactly how it unfolded. Oh, he's actually off onto the grass, and then as he rejoins, the car grips up and pitches him round into a spin.
He's done really well not to hit anything there as Andrew Fairley. You could see he's done fairly well. Now, this is not what Fraser Smith wants on his plate. Flipping heck, Thomas Pugh in the Lamborghini getting mugged by both of the Conehead Racing Porsches. Now Fraser's got his teammate Will Soper in front. Is this going to come into his benefit here? Is that going to be an advantage with Yannis Albert right behind? Because Yannis is certainly going to be a little bit unsettled here by the fact that, I mean, he's barely unsettled by anything ever as Yannis, but the strength in numbers in sim racing, you can never deny that. Right now...
Yeah, if I was Will Soper, I'd try and get out of the way before you're going in towards the skyline section down here, but he does not do that. He carries on going. See if you can try and maybe slot yourself in between Fraser Smith and Yannis Albert. But Yannis, I was about to mention actually as well, in that final race, on that final lap, he was by far the fastest driver out on circuit. He put in the fastest lap of the race right at the end as some sort of, I guess, statement to show that he is going to be going for it right up until that checkered flag falls. It's not over until the race is completely done, and he'll be trying to fight for every last second of it. Lawrence Edapa, though, has been fighting and continues to fight with Matt Hoyland.
Oh, no.
Running off onto the grass. He tried to carry a little bit too much speed, and now will lose out to Christopher Radloff. That Alpha 1 Esports Corvette going very well here tonight. Alex Fretwell fancies a little piece of the action as well. Tussling away with Matt as Jason Hodgson off into the grass. A very odd place to be off into the grass, actually, as well as it on the way into the corner.
A good rejoin, though, that. He made sure he didn't come back onto the circuit where the apex was. Just with Yannis that close to Fraser's before, you could smell what he'd had for dinner. He was so close to the back of that Porsche. This is what happened to Hodgson. He's going to hit the back of this Mustang and bounce off it. Oh, no. Oh, he just unsettles it in that dirty air behind the Mustang. I mean, it is like throwing a planet down the straight, is that Mustang, but... Ooh.
I think right behind, he got his nose into the splitter, and there's sort of like a pocket almost of sort of like sort of pressure, like a low pressure pocket in behind that splitter, and I think that's probably what sort of unloaded the car there. Steve Powell suddenly just, without warning, goes around, and there's not really a whole lot the cars in behind can do, can they? No real time to react.
Fraser Smith just missed out on being involved in this, because look at his teammate Will Soper in front there. There goes Dean Powell, there is Soper, and there goes Yannis Albert through on the left-hand side. Goodness me.
And it's keeping it pinned to the floor.
I'm nervous.
If you're nervous, how on earth do the drivers feel? How would you feel if you're in Yannis's position?
Now, sorry, Ed, I'm going to interrupt you here, but look at the sudden flip in perspective here. Rather than Fraser have his teammate in front of him with Yannis right behind, all of a sudden Fraser's got Yannis's teammate right behind him now. Tristan Dinnebrega can suddenly start to annoy these guys in these Porsches.
Here we go, Chaz. All of a sudden, in just one corner, the entire race has been turned on its head, and especially the championship as well. That complexion completely changed. Now Will Soper, he's going to want to maybe allow Fraser Smith by if he can, but look at Tristan Dinnebrega. He's got a lot to fight for. He gets it stopped just about. Beautiful move that to slot himself in, but oh my word, what on earth has gone on here? Oh, Yannis Albert is... Oh my word, yeah, Yannis Albert really just heart and mouth stuff as he comes to the scene of a massive accident there. What on earth happened there?
I think what we're going to see here is two cars on the exit of the corner merge together and just go into the wall. Look at Lawrence Edapa there, side by side with the Corvette. Yep, merge together, hit the bridge, bang, into Alex Fretwell. God, it's a good thing Alex won the championship in the earlier race. Great avoidance by those behind there not to hit that Corvette spinning.
Wow, that was amazing awareness on display. And now let's have a look from Marcel Breitenbach's point of view, because he's going to get a great shot of just cars flipping around. And the carnage, the bits and pieces of Porsche littering the circuit. I want to see as well actually from Yannis's perspective, because he had a lot to lose in that scenario, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out which of the cars it was. Christopher Radloff. Here's Yannis Albert's point of view. I mean, he's not got much of a point of view. He's right up behind John Breitenbach, and all of a sudden there's smoke, there's dust. He gets out of from behind the car in front of him. That's a really good way of doing it, because, I mean, well, it could be terrifying in case there's a stationary car there when you suddenly dodge out of the way, but he did that early to make sure he could see ahead and pick out the accident. Matt Hoyland, as a result, has got a 5.5. It's like he's just hot lapping on his own. And then it's Luke King in second place for Alpha One Esports. Unreal. If Luke wins this in class on this night,
yes.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to have to stop talking. Oh my God, look at Alex's McLaren. Is it a McLaren?
It's something. It's got 4 wheels and that's about it.
Barely. It's barely got 5. Alex Fretwell then, overtaken by John Breitenbach. That's not the straight line speed you'd want. He's got now Kevin Daniels making his way down the inside. Matt Hoyland leads the way in the pro class, as all behind Will Soper, side by side with Tristan Dinabrega. Tristan through, says thank you very much indeed. Now Ed, look, now there's the move. Will Soper says go on son, through you go, and the 144 machine of Tom Weston says yeah, go on then I will. Oh, gives him a little bit of a hip and shoulder on the way through. Have one of them, son. Through goes Tom Weston, through goes Thomas Pugh. Yeah, has he lost the front end? No. That's the right rear is Fubard.
Yes.
What was it my friend George said earlier? It's crabbing like crabbing like a 54 plate Mercedes Sprinter on the M5. But what I wanted to point out is obviously now there's this difference between Yannis Albert and Fraser's positions. We need to start looking at points here, Ed, and what he gained on him earlier on.
Yes,
what I'm saying is, Ed, can you look at the points, please?
I'll try and do that. I'll see if we can figure it out. So what was it coming into?
43 coming into tonight.
42, 43. I thought it was 42, I think, in the elite standings. Alright, bear with me. I'm going to have to do some maths. And I was never that good at that in school growing up, so
I'm not good at it with a calculator, so don't you worry. We'll ride on board with Marcel Breitenbach in the, like we said, obnoxiously yellow barbecue bread racing machine in homage to Alpha One Esports and Ryan Otton's. As oh no, Kevin Daniels, after that good start earlier, he's popped it into the wall for an early bath down at the Dipper. Paul Cowlishaw in the NSX now chasing down Francois Brandet. Biggest mover in the field so far, up 15 places, is actually Danny Lee. What a fantastic way to sign off in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship this will be for Danny if he can continue to gain places. I'm pretty sure though, Ed, with Fraser Smith where he is, only 4 places back from Yannis, he will still win the championship. There's not 40 points between those two.
No, there is not. So at the moment, Yannis Albert, he will be gaining 45 points. Fraser Smith in 5th place will be gaining 33. So
yeah, only 8 points in it.
Not enough.
12, sorry.
Yeah,
I told you I couldn't do maths.
Definitely not. But unfortunately, that seems to be the case. But Yannis is going to do all he can to try and get up into the best position possible, and that is going to be by getting ahead of Luke King, who currently leads the elite class at this moment in time, but only by half a second.
As we see here, very close between the pair of them. Luke leading this lot. Yannis is going to be quite torn right now. Do we have an Alpha One Esports car winning the final race of the season on this night where we pay tribute to the wonderful Ryan Ottons? At the moment, it's a 1-2-3 for Alpha One Esports, RDSA Esports and Barbecue Bread Racing, all of which all support one another and all good friends of Ryan, which is incredibly touching as things stand. But at the moment, they've got to be careful as contact between Thomas Pugh and Luke Lucchese. Oh, I'm holding my breath while also exhaling. I've never done that in my life, and now I'm scared because I can't remember how to do it. Thomas Pugh, he can't remember how to go up over the top of the hill by the look of it. Ed smacks into the wall.
Yeah, it's really battering the living daylights out of his Lamborghini, but still going on strong. Luke Lucchese now, RDSA Esports in the Alpha One tribute livery to Ryan Otton's. It's going to be trying to get everything possible out of it to try and climb up the order.
I think he's got damage, you know. I think Luke's car is damaged. He's not... Yeah, I think he let Thomas go lightly and he lost him for a little bit. He's just kissed the wall again there. Will Soper just behind him.
King and Yanis Albert going for it as well, Chaz.
Oh, he is. Side by side. Round the outside. Lovely committed move that by Yanis. Takes the lead in the elite class now. He's got 6.5 seconds to Matt Hoyland, who leads the race outright. Hats off to Matt. He's on a real mission. But now I think the battle's on here, you know. I don't think Luke King's going to take that one lying down.
No, he won't. And it's beautiful to see as well all of the South Africans going well in the elite class. Luke King, Jean Breitenbach and Tristan Dinabrega, all fellow countrymen of Ryan, and they'll be looking to try and continue on their fine evenings with another set of podiums.
Look at the burnout marks on the circuit. That's fantastic.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful.
Here's
really,
Fraser.
Really beautiful.
He's... I mean, it looks like, compared to everybody else, it looks like Fraser's having a lonely race right now. 1.2 seconds to the car ahead. 7 tenths to the car behind, Alex Fretwell, and he is losing time in a straight line, I can tell you, so he's not really got to worry about him too much. He's got Tristan Dinabrega just ahead, but Fraser, it may not be the way that he would want to finish the championship. Like you said very rightly earlier on, Ed, if you want to win the championship, you want to do it with a win at the end of the season. Fraser's not on to do that with this race, or the earlier race either, but he'll take that, I think, because it takes a lot. When you're a driver like Fraser, and this is with no disrespect to him, that, you know, Fraser drives in such an aggressive but flamboyant manner, and he gets so many great results as a result of that. And the way that he drives is just, you know, we've seen incredible drives by Fraser and great commitment, as Tristan Dinabrega has a moment. But sometimes it's very... I mean, let's look at British touring car drivers. Ash Sutton. Ash has won multiple championships, but how many has he lost by going for second place instead of third and not just banking those points? Fraser a while ago would definitely admit that that was him. But in the last few rounds of this season and in the later stages, he's known exactly when to dial it back and just bring the points home and turn into more of a Colin Turkington of the sort of ESR GT3s. It's been lovely to see it, and I think this is another display of that tonight. He's kept himself out of trouble, as these boys are causing trouble once again. Sean Breitenbach side by side with Luke King.
Yep, so now Sean Breitenbach, who's going to see if he can get into hot pursuit of Yanis Albert. But it's funny, isn't it? As soon as you mentioned British touring cars, my mind also immediately went to Ash Sutton. He is a driver and very similar in terms of, like you mentioned, Fraser Smith, the driver that never sort of calls it a day. You know, it's like, you know what, I've made up enough positions today. I think I'm happy where I am. Nope. You're constantly looking for that little bit extra, that extra position, trying to extract the maximum out of the car as all. We might have extracted a little bit too much of it, and now finds himself way down the order, 13th in class. Now this is the time to get the calculator out.
Oh my word, what on earth has happened? Why do we talk about him? Fraser Smith chasing down Tristan Dinabrega. It just goes on him. It just goes on him. And dearie me. Oh, and he's hit the wall backwards. I don't think it's done too much damage to the car. But like you've said, Ed, 13th in class right now, with Yanis Albert leading the class. Yanis on for 50 points here. Oh my goodness me.
Chaz, can you just real quick remind me of the results in race 1? I think Yanis Albert, he got second, didn't he, in that first race?
He did. And I believe Fraser was in 4th position in class.
So Fraser was in 4th.
Pretty sure. Sorry, everyone. We're gonna bring him up. We're gonna bring up the results halfway through a race. We need to do some. No, he was 3rd. Fraser was 3rd in class. I thought he was behind Tristan Dinabrega. So apologies.
Okay, so it's 45 to 40. So Yanis gains 4 points or 5 points. Sorry.
Yeah.
So 5 points. Yanis gained on that last race, which brings the gap down to 37.
And he'll gain 39.
And he'll gain 39.
So that has put Fraser Smith. Now there's more drama around him as Chris Jennings has had an issue. Fraser needs to crack on here. He's got 11 minutes now, and the championship is currently going to Yanis Albert. Unbelievable turn of events in the final race of the season. I can't believe it.
So it's 39 points that Yanis Albert's going to gain, and how many does he need to get? He needs to gain 37, doesn't he?
Yeah, if Fraser finishes in 12th in class, it will be a tie on points. Fraser will get it for more class wins. The car he needs to overtake is that one, Gilles Philipparts in the DDK Corvette. It is a Corvette, so it'll probably spin in the next 30 seconds. However, Fraser now needs to get a shimmy on. Oh my god, my stomach has dropped.
It is never easy for Fraser Smith, is it?
No.
There's nothing in the Fraser Smith lexicon that has the word easy.
Look at him going for it now.
It's really going. It's, again, trees or trophies.
Yeah.
This is pure trees or trophies scenario time for Fraser Smith.
He doesn't want Victor Van Zeist doing this, though, and sniffing the back end of that car. He needs to be careful.
A bit unwell.
He needs to be careful not to move over on Victor here, because Victor's not giving him an inch. He is fighting with him because he knows that he's got his own teammate Luc Van Gortel behind him. There is Gilles Philipparts in the Corvette just in front. This is incredibly nerve-wracking. 10 minutes to go here at Bathurst. This is the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. It has been that busy tonight. We have not been able to say thank you to our championship sponsors, Camé, GP2 Group and Keenan Eco Energy. And we pay tribute tonight to our wonderful friend Ryan Otton, who we so tragically lost this week. But I tell you what, Ed, if Ryan would want a race to sort of have as a tribute to him, flipping heck, this is one of them.
Yeah, the season finale, Mount Panorama, and with late drama in the Elite Championship. There's all up in front. Gilles Philipparts is playing a dangerous game, and so is Fraser Smith. He's really close behind this Corvette, almost too close for comfort. If there is any sort of...
There's the move.
Foul play, this is the move up the inside. Is there going to be contact? No, he managed just to muscle himself through. This is now Fraser Smith with the championship in his grasp. Just has to nurse it home.
Right now, Fraser Smith and Yanis Albert are tied on championship points with 9 minutes left to go in the season, based on our maths. And right now, it would be Fraser Smith's championship in the elite class because he has more race victories this season than Yanis Albert. Yanis is yet to win one this season in class. It would be very fitting for him to get the job done in the last one of the season and make the most of it. Fraser just needs to keep out of trouble now. He's got Francois Brandet in front of him, so what does that tell you? As the Porsches behind change position, Luc Van Gortel now, Victor Van Zeist going ahead of his teammate. These two swapping around. Fraser's looking for all sorts of benefits now from Francois Brandet. Looks one way, then the other. Paul Cowlishaw is a few cars up the road, but he doesn't need to overtake him, but you can't play it too safe as there's a nudge and a bit of argy-bargy. Goodness me. Francois not giving him a single inch there, and now Gilles Philipparts is going to go back through. Fraser needs to keep his head here.
He cannot afford to worry or stress because this is a crucial point in the championship.
He didn't need to keep his nose all the way down the inside, but Gilles Philipparts at the same time knew he was there. He's got the position back, not in a way he would have wanted to, but my word. Hold on to your eyebrows, everyone. Flipping heck.
That was, yeah. Scary, scary stuff, and we do know obviously stewards' investigations. I don't think the championship's going to be decided in the stewards' room, but
I'd hope not.
That is a very, very uncomfortable moment.
Yep.
Let's just, and he's had a few of those tonight.
Let's just enjoy the Mustang for a minute.
Relax, everyone. Deep breaths. Zen. Calm.
I mean, saying zen when we're looking at a Ford Mustang isn't really what I expected, but yeah, it's alive right now is this race. Francois Brandet was parked on the apex there. I don't know why. Now Fraser hopefully has not got too much damage, otherwise that could put pay to it. Why was Fraser so slow there though? Not Fraser, sorry, Francois. Very slow on the exit. Jason Hodgson has been caught up in that drama behind. You've got to now think about incident points if you're Fraser Smith here, surely.
Yeah, that's another thing actually that I was not aware of. But yeah, you're right. The incident point limit is... I'm trying to remember what exactly it is now. Isn't it just 17?
Yeah,
where
it's
you
not.
Get the drive-through.
I think Fraser's distracted by something here. He's trying to do the maths maybe. He's looking at what he can look at. He's trying to speak to the guys. He's trying to figure it out on the move. He is in the position to do it.
The differential after tonight is a 42-point swing in favour of Yanis.
He doesn't need to flash the lights. I mean, I get that he's telling Francois to move, but he's 7 seconds behind Paul Cowlishaw. 6 minutes left to go. this could boil over here. And let's not forget Luke van Gortel behind him. If he overtakes Fraser, that gives the championship to Yanis, because that is an elite class car right behind him. If he overtakes Francois Brandet, he doesn't gain anything points-wise.
No, he doesn't. Oh God. Yeah, I'm. It's at a point now where you really are just nervous if you're a fan of Fraser Smith, and we know that Fraser has a lot of fans. Into Barrett. Oh God. I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak, because everything I seem to have said about Fraser Smith has jinxed him. We were talking about how he doesn't like to give up easily, and he always tries to go for those extra positions. Then chasing down a position earlier, wasn't it? Trying, I think, chase down, was it Tristan de Nebrega? That was what sent him into a spin that dropped him out of, well, the comfortable championship position. And now look at Luke van Gortel right up his gearbox, trying to find a way past. If Luke is able to get ahead of Fraser, that will be a championship defining move. As you rightly mentioned, Chaz, a lot is at stake here.
It really is. That Mustang's got the legs in a straight line as well. Fraser's not going to be quite able to stay with Francois Brandet. Look at that. Even in the slipstream, he's not able to get ahead. He's got 6/10 over Luke van Gortel. Fraser needs to keep his head here. He'll be getting frustrated, but Francois is under no obligation to move out of the way here. He has every right to defend that position if he wants to. I'm not sure if there was any brake checking or anything on the exit or the apex. Francois isn't one of those people to do that, from what we've seen in other series and in this series before. There's Fraser's chance. Oh, but he gets held up again on the exit. Nothing Francois particularly did wrong right there, but Luke is right with him now. There is 4 minutes left to go in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Fraser sends it down the inside. He feels that's what he's got to do. That's the blessing he wanted. He needed Francois to have an issue there. He needed that, because that buys him more time. Fraser Smith now has a tiny bit of a gap to the car behind. Is it enough? Yanis Albert is doing enough. No, is that Hoyland? Please don't tell me that's Hoyland. Matt Hoyland spins out of the overall race lead. It doesn't gain or lose them any points each, but Yanis Albert now leads the field outright, as well as in the elite class. Everything in this race has transpired exactly Yanis' way. Now, the only element, as we've said before, that can stop Fraser Smith is Fraser Smith. 3 minutes 40 to go, and Fraser has done everything he can to fight past every element of this so far. 3 minutes 40 left to go, tied on points for the championship here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship Season 7 Split A here from Bathurst on Chaz Draycott Media. What a finale we are treated to.
I'm amazed that Matt Hoyland didn't have a massive accident there, because there's no such thing as a small incident when you're coming through McPhillamy Park, but somehow Matt kept out of the barriers. From the amount of tyre screeching and smoke that we saw, that could have been a very big incident. So credit to Matt for keeping it on the road. But yes, like you mentioned, Jazz, this is where all eyes will be shifting to the battle between Fraser Smith and Luke van Gortel. I don't even know if Luke actually knows what's at stake here for Fraser. But this is the championship on the line with... Oh, yeah, Fraser Smith's definitely distracted. He's keeping his eye on something, trying to do maths on the fly, and know if this is enough for the championship, if it's over and done with. But it's still on, isn't it, Chaz? He just needs someone to tell him that he is still on for that championship victory. And
no!
He's in the pits. No!
That might have been the incident that did it. That might have been the incident. He went off the circuit. It seemed like he was distracted by something. I don't know if he's got maybe a meatball flag or damage, but that surely puts pay to it. With 2 minutes left to go, it looked almost certain coming here tonight that Fraser Smith would be crowned champion of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. And the miserable, miserable sight for Conehead Racing is that car crawling down. It's a drive-through for incidents. He's now in 14th place, and that means that Yanis Albert leads this race outright. He leads the class. He has got one more lap between himself and, with no disrespect to the German, one of the most unlikely championship victories that we are going to see on this channel for a very long time.
Wow. This has been one of the most emotionally charged and dramatic ends to a season I think I've ever had the joy of commentating over. This has been so stressful for both of us in the comms box, Chaz, and that's not even thinking about how much stress the drivers are under. Obviously, an incredibly emotional time. I cannot imagine the amount of pressure going on inside that cockpit for Yannis Albert. He just needs to bring it through for one more lap, and he will be crowned the Season 7 champion of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, as Luke Lucchese and Danny Lee going at it for one final time this season as well. Danny Lee trying everything he can to get past Luke, battling hard as ever.
There's a response from Yannis. Fastest lap of the race now. 2:02.6. My God, no one else is in the 2:02s, let alone 2:02.6 from Yannis. He has just lit the afterburners now on that NSX.
And I mentioned it actually, that he had a very similar lap time in that final race, and a statement of what he wants to do, and he has really delivered on that statement. He put his words down and backed it up massively on the circuit with just 2/3 of a lap, the mountain between himself and what is going to be a unlikely, but after what we've seen tonight, thoroughly deserved championship victory.
I mean, Yannis has done an incredible job to turn this season around. He's been absolutely mega and continues to be. Look at, since we started commentating on him, he, much like Ryan Ottens, who we honour this evening, has been one of the drivers to really take it to the RDSA boys. He is now right in their midst and fighting with them and fighting for them. This is the battle, by the way, in the lead for the Pro Class. Somehow Fretwell dragging that McLaren around. But Yannis Albert, he's mere corners away. We cannot believe how this has transpired, Ed. We did say fireworks at the start of this, didn't we? Good Lord, did we expect this? No.
No, but this has been an evening that encapsulates everything we love about this championship, and we're sad to leave it behind for next season, but fingers crossed we'll be back in the future. It's been a wonderful and wild ride, and just one more corner for the end of this season.
Yannis Albert hits the brakes once more here at Bathurst, but he has gone full throttle into tonight, and he takes the championship. Yannis Albert is the Season 7 Evolution Sim Racing GT3 A-Split champion. Fantastic job by the German. He takes the checkered flag and wins the class on the night as well. Matt Hoyland second, Sean Breitenbach and Luke King very fittingly for their fallen comrade. Ryan Ottens takes second and third. Luke Lucchese and Danny Lee dance all the way to the line. And who's going to take it in the Pro Class, Ed? It looks like Croft's going to do it. Breitenbach's off the road.
There we go.
Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, Hoyland's already done it. He's that far ahead. Shut up.
Gone way ahead, but still amazing for Matthew Croft to get through. And I think that's going to be, his first podium of the season, if I'm right in
I believe so.
That BMW has certainly not been the car to drive, but right at the end, he's got the result. And Alex Fretwell, 2 podiums on the night to cap off what has been a brilliant Pro Class championship fight. Can't really ask for much more than that for Alex in, well, the lone McLaren. Fraser Smith immediately has to go out to him, immediately stops, and
understandably so. But I tell you what, let's not let that erase a memory of such an absolutely outstanding field of drivers this season. Topped off, I must say, by Fraser Smith. The early season dominance of that Porsche, even with the likes of Kevin Poon in the field with him, has been remarkable. Nothing short of remarkable. And I tell you, Fraser can go away from this season and hold his head high after the results that he's had throughout this championship. Unbelievable to miss out on the championship by just so few points in the end.
But 4.
4? Wow.
4 points is what I've got it as.
But it just shows you, doesn't it, Ed? You never know what's going to happen in any form of racing. It almost looks certain, but no. Yannis Albert takes the win, takes the class win, and takes the championship. Very well done to Yannis. With no disrespect to anybody else in the field, but if there was anyone that's as deserving from what we've seen throughout the seasons that we've commentated on this championship, Yannis has been such a hard worker and is right up there. And, well, he's good at his sim racing photography as well, so I'm sure there'll be many, many pictures of that one. Jean Breitenbach finishes in second place, Luke King in third, and then Tristan Dinabrega in fourth place, Luke Lucchese in fifth, and then it's Danny Lee ahead of Tom Weston, Will Soper, Andrew Fairley, and Thomas Pugh. Paul Cowlishaw in 11th, Luke Van Gortel 12th, ahead of Gilles Philipparts, and Fraser Smith 14th in the end. Robert Bakker Kevin Daniels, Dean Powell and Chris Versteinen. Ed, why don't you take it away with the pros?
Thank you very much, Chaz. And Matt Hoyland, we missed a lot of his race because he was in the lead for most of it, had a scary moment towards the end, but recovered it brilliantly to win the final race of the season in the pro class by, well, over 35 seconds. The margin of victory that we aren't often used to seeing. Matt Hoyland managed his race brilliantly. The other Matthew Croft, they're finishing in second place, just ahead of the battered and bruised, but nevertheless resilient Alex Fretwell to drag his, well, what was left of his McLaren over the line for another podium to cap off, again, a very impressive season that saw him win as champion. Marcel Breitenbach there in fourth, ahead of Malcolm Coates in fifth, with Lawrence van der Water sixth, Chris Jennings seventh, Alexander Drabi in eighth, ahead of Jason Hodgson, and Ashley Brooks rounding out your top 10 in the pro class. Then we come to Victor van Zeist in 11th, Lawrence De Rapper in 12th, with Francois Brandet in 13th, ahead of Stephen Donnelly finishing one lap down, and then our non-finishers, Christopher Radloff, Bobby Trundley and Martin Kenyon.
Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you very much indeed. There's some donuts going on the start-finish straight. Danny Lee involved in that with Stephen Donnelly, I believe. Danny saying goodbye to the championship in lovely style as well. Hats off indeed. Well, let's go back to the formation lap. Seems like forever ago since we did that, but goodness me, Ed, what a night of racing we've had, regardless of how emotional that got and how busy that got with points. That was a spectacle all the way through.
Yeah, I cannot imagine how all of the drivers will be feeling after, again, coming into this off of the back of the tragic announcement, the passing of their friend and sort of rival, the driver that they've raced for so long on track, Ryan Otton, who sadly passed just a few days before people turned a wheel here tonight. And then from all of the drama and action that we saw out on circuit, it really does encapsulate why we love this championship, doesn't it, Chaz? And tell you what, I can't imagine who you'd be wanting to speak to first, because all of the drivers seem to be itching to get in the comms box with us.
Well, one of them I want to speak to tonight had a lot of hard work in that second race of the evening. Alex Fretwell, with big damage to the car, Alex, you still came away with a podium in your class at the end of the season, and you came away as champion. You must be absolutely over the moon, mate, but congratulations first off. How are you feeling?
Yeah, mixed emotions, obviously. It's been a tough night, I'm sure, for everyone. Race 1 was perfect. Qualifying was a bit of a mess. I pretty much got one realistic lap in and took class pole. Race 1 was just sort of managing the elite cars around me. Race 2, nicked a couple of positions, and I think it was all pro runners at the front. Just sort of positioning myself nicely. Pace was really good. I was running a bit more wing, so it was holding on to the end of race 1 as well, so I was pretty confident for maybe taking a double, but yeah, someone else had other ideas, and it was so slow in a straight line. It was borderline dangerous, but yeah, somehow whenever the pro cars got close to me, they either got sort of overtaken by a bunch of elites and dropped sort of safe distance back again. Lost one place to Matthew, I think. Just about kept it to Marcel. Got a bit rough, but yeah, scraped it home.
Absolutely awesome stuff, mate. Though I tell you what, it's one of those things, isn't it? When you're in the car that not many other people are in, you have to sort of uphold the honour of it a bit, don't you? Do you feel proud to have done that in the McLaren this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just obviously about sort of peak results. It's been a challenge. I challenged myself to the Lamborghini last season, so sort of keeping that going. And yeah, it's been a fun challenge. Definitely on some tracks more than others. It's been a pretty decent car. I think in the dry in Mugello it was untouchable really around those sort of medium and high speed corners. A little bit more of a challenge here. Like I say, I had to run a bit more wing just to stay alive. But yeah, we'll see if I stick with it for next season.
well, we certainly look forward to seeing if you do, Alex. And it's just been mega to cover you in this car this season, and you've done it proud, mate. Absolutely done it proud, and you've won the Pro Class Championship. Very well done to you and your team and everyone involved in getting it across the line. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to while we've got you?
Just the obvious, obviously, Ryan Otton and his family. Didn't have too much dealings with him, to be honest, over the years. I know he's been here a fair while now. Pretty much managed to stay out of each other's way, barring one incident I can remember, but obviously that's all irrelevant now. So yeah, obviously just thoughts with him, and I'd personally just like to dedicate this championship to him as well.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Nicely said, Alex. Great to speak to you again, buddy. And hopefully it won't be too long before we speak to you again. But thank you for all the interviews this season. Well done on the championship, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks. Just quickly say that I have had many interviews this season and also got to meet you in person.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
It's been a great season.
Yeah, Alex and I met at Race Retro just last weekend as well. So yeah, it's it's always good for sort of igniting those friendships and yeah, meeting each other and so on. It's fantastic. It's one of the beauties of sim racing. But yeah, mega stuff, Alex. Great to speak to you. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Alex, his missus and little un popped down to Race Retro on the weekend to see me presenting the stage there, bless him, and they had a lovely day by the look of it. But what a deserving champion, though, Ed, in that McLaren. He's not made it easy for himself being in that car, but it's what he likes to do, as he said, you know, sort of not punish himself, but sort of push himself to make a car that doesn't normally work.
Yeah, and it was great to see him out there in the lone McLaren. It added some nice variety to the grid, not just in shape, but also in sound. You've got that lovely engine note. It's sort of a lot more guttural than many of the other cars on the grid, but he made it work. It wasn't necessarily the car to be in on the wets, but in the dry, Alex Fretwell was by far and away the fastest driver out there in the Pro class, and he managed to take great advantage of that, and especially this late season form, where it's now been in the last, let's have a look, maths, 7 races. He's been on the podium 6 times, 3 of those being victories.
Incredible.
Amazing stuff.
Incredible form. And this man, he hadn't won a race until tonight this season in class, but Yannis Albert, Yannis, mate, you must be vibrating right now, because it didn't look likely, no offence, coming into the final round of the season, but you've just pipped it and taken the win. You must be over the moon.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a big gap going into this. My goal was not to let Luke pass you in the championship. All good. But then I was surprised Fraser didn't have the pace I thought he was gonna have. Like, he was so quick the entire season. This time was a little off. So I got a good result in the first race, and then in the second, I read he spun, and it was a nightmare race for him. Yeah, I'm happy with my performance, obviously. I'm not gonna jinx the championship though, because there may be some stewarding before the result.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. But, I mean, what a season you've had, though. It's been up and down. I mean, to be fair, Yannis, I think every time we've seen you on our screen, it's been an up and down season. You've had a bit of bad luck here and there, but you've overcome that this time round. It must feel a bit relieving, surely, at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes I was off pace by a lot. Sometimes I was decently paced, but then had bad races. With people, obviously, you always have that. It can go wrong, and sometimes it does, and sometimes you do mistakes on your own. So yeah, I'm happy because Fraser also had quite a few issues in the second half of the season, because in the first he was basically untouchable.
He absolutely was, and as you've kindly said in Discord as well, you know, he deserved everything. At the start of the season was absolutely remarkable, but it just shows you can never know what to expect in motorsport, even sim racing as well. It's completely unpredictable. But is there any final words you want to say before we let you go for the evening as champion, Yannis?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I do get the championship, that's fully dedicated to Ryan Ottens. He was a great guy to be in the voice chat with. I've been with him in the chat for nearly every race. So RGSA and Alpha 1 Esports always in the same Discord. He was a great guy and gentleman, and yeah, it's great to have this parade lap. It's great to honor his memory. If I do get a second place, that's still gonna be dedicated towards him. obviously.
Nicely said, Yanis. Nicely said indeed, and a very touching tribute. Thank you very much for your time, and of course, well done, regardless of how it goes, if there is anything afterwards. But it's been amazing to see Yanis, and we love to see it. We don't have favourites or bias up here, but with the amount of time we've been commentating on you, to see it come to fruition like that tonight was mega. So congratulations, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Yep, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. What's also annoying is that Yanis is really good at Rocket League. We'll move on, though, and I mean, it's safe to say, though, I say we'll move on, then don't. But what a deserving champion, and he is, because he's pushed and pushed and pushed in the later stages of the season, got those podiums, got those results, and he's made that NSX work. It's been unreal.
Yeah, I mean, no matter who would have came on top between Yanis or Fraser coming into tonight, they would have been a worthy champion, and it just so happened that Yanis really managed to kick on in those sort of final few moments of the night. I mean, with a race victory and a second place, there isn't much more he could have done, really, to put himself in that position to basically leave it up to Fraser Smith to do what he needed to do. And unfortunately, it was just a case of that one little mistake, wasn't it, that crept through. But we will speak to the driver that won in that first race in quite some astonishing fashion. Andrew Fairley joins us for a chat with you, Chaz.
Andrew, you must be a little bit miffed about how the second race went. Still gained places, obviously, but that first race was just pure outright pace. Did you think the Mustang was going to work around here like that tonight?
I mean, I've caught quite a handle of the Mustang, so I think I can be quite strong no matter what the track is, really. But race 2 was my own fault. I left CC on 0 from doing donuts at the end of race 1.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So,
oh, man.
So that was why it went
so easily done. I can imagine flipping out. Oh,
I know, because I didn't load the setup back up, because I was naturally just using the same setup on the same fuel.
Yeah.
Obviously, the TC just
stayed where it was.
Was what I ended the race on.
No way. But this is why it's great to speak to you guys afterwards, though, because it can sometimes be the simplest or oddest of things that cause a weird incident or something out of the ordinary in a second race. And I mean, it was a very entertaining second race to see you make your way back through the pack, but it was nerve-wracking, wasn't it, over the mountain with how close everyone was together.
Yeah, I think I was doing like 203s, low 203s, and then once I caught people back up, I was like high 204s. I was like, I've just got to be clever and pick my moves where I can.
You got to weather the storm.
I think there was one of them. I went on the inside of someone at the top of the mountain, which was. I hope you got it on the stream, because it was a good move.
To be fair, Andrew, I'm sorry, but there was that many going on. But I don't know if we did. But either way, I'm sure it was a bum clencher for sure. Reflecting on your season, though, we've seen some epic performances and pace from you. Sometimes a bit of bad luck, though, and some incidents that sort of took you down out of contention. How would you round up your championship here with the Evolution Sim Racing guys?
Mostly positive. Just like you say, I've had some bad luck where I've just been caught up in other people's incidents and just been not avoided. But I'd like to think I could be a championship contender. It's just getting the luck, isn't it? And this, especially with the reverse 18, that's mostly where it's faltered.
Yeah, it's the nature of the beast sometimes. It's a tough old thing, but you've been a fantastic one to watch this season, Andrew. And is there any final words that you'd like to say before we go?
No, just obviously the first race I'd like to dedicate to Ryan Ottons. I had some good battles with him on track. It's a shame that he's not in the community anymore, and he will be missed. I didn't personally know him, but like I say, I had some great battles with him, and you could see how much the community has been affected by his departure.
Fair play to you, mate. Fair play indeed. Well, like I say, it's been great commentating on you this season, Andrew. That Mustang is absolutely gorgeous, and we hope to see it again on our screens in the near future. But thanks for your time, and yeah, hopefully see you again.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you later.
Andrew Fairley, a fantastic addition to our sort of interview roster, so to speak, Ed. A lovely, lovely bloke. Very confident, but that's what you've got to have in this sort of series, haven't you? It's a remarkably talented field. You've got to have such a high level of confidence to make it stick.
You do. You've really got to be just 100% committed to every single opportunity. And Bathurst is a circuit where, like you say, confidence is key. As soon as you show any weakness, the mountain will bite and, well, take no prisoners. We've got a couple of drivers just jumping in for a dual interview now, Chaz, as well.
Absolutely. We're joined by Tristan Dinnebrega and Luke Lucchese. Gentlemen, understandably a tough night for you guys, an emotional evening for you to finish the season in this way, but how would you round up tonight? I mean, from our perspective, the support has been absolutely overwhelming.
Yes, no, for sure. I think the community has really responded really well. Discord was not the same tonight without him.
Yeah.
He's normally the guy that sort of has all the comments in the back every time he has a moment. So yeah, that we missed and will miss in future.
And what about you, Tristan? Was it the same from your perspective as well?
Yeah, very tough. He was a big part of our friend group, and yeah, like Yannis touched on, we haven't missed a race with him. He's always in the Discord, and like Luke says, he's super chirpy and he's always cracking jokes. And
yeah,
when someone's having a bad night, Ryan's the first guy to make sure that they have a better night. So yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. And yeah, we're just grateful that we got to race as much as we did with him, and got to know him as well as we did. And yeah, we'll be heading off to his funeral on Tuesday. So again, just fortunate that we can fly up to Joburg, and yeah, just go spend some time with his family. And yeah, so
nicely said. But it's we obviously understand it's not an easy time, and obviously we don't want to be prodding and asking and so on, but at the end of the day we wanted to get you guys in for some final words, not just to wrap up tonight, but obviously wrap up the season. And sort of running back your season, Luke, it's been one of challenges in racing form as well, hasn't it? It's been another bit of a topsy-turvy one with some bad luck thrown in.
Yes, no, for sure. I think I started getting a handle on the setups for the car the second half of the season, but I think that's sort of been a trend with me. My second half is much stronger than my first half, so really got to work on that for next season to try and start the season off strong. But I think so we'll see what car we're going to use next season. Maybe it's the Porsche again, who knows? I'm a Porsche guy, but so I think I've got the setup sort of dialed in now to where I like them. I've got a good baseline that I can change up here and there to get it to drive like I want. But look, I mean, there's a lot of competition in the season, which is great. So you never really know who's going to be, top of the times when you get there. And obviously, thanks to you guys for the, awesome streams of the season. Thanks to ESR and the organizers. Thanks to Tristan, Yannis, our teammates, everyone else that's in the Discord with us. And then obviously condolences to Ryan's family if they're watching the stream.
Absolutely. And Tristan, any final words from you as our last interview of the season?
Yeah, so to touch on the season again, it's I think been a great one for the team overall, but unexpected to take the Drivers' Championship in the end here with Yannis. So we'll take that. That makes it, I think, definitely 3 seasons in a row where RDSA drivers have won the championship. And obviously now Luke has won 2, I've won 2, and Yannis has won 2. So that's quite interesting. And then in terms of the team championship, I'm not sure if we managed to win it in the end. I know we were second. So yeah, we're either first or second. So again, just a good season for the team. And yeah, just happy with that we can keep competing, even though that the league is getting more and more competitive, which, like Luke said, is great. So yeah, we're happy, and it's a good send-off for Ryan.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself, Tristan. Well, thank you very much for jumping in, boys. Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dienebrega. Hopefully we'll see you again very soon, guys, in another broadcast, wherever it may be, whether it's back here in a few seasons' time. But thank you very much for your time.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
And there we go, Ed. The final interviews of the campaign here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Season 7 is now at a close. Yannis Albert taking it, and, well, his second title, as Tristan rightly confirms there as well. And, I mean, 2 apiece for 3 drivers is pretty epic. Shows you the pedigree of that team, doesn't it? That's remarkable.
Yeah, it really does. It's been one heck of an emotional evening up and down the grid. Every single one has had sort of a little anecdote, a little story about Ryan that has really sort of warmed the hearts, hasn't it? To see the entire community coming together, and it is obviously a shame to lose him. We will definitely miss him here at Chaz Draycott Media, as we will of course miss all of the drivers for next season. Obviously things haven't panned out for us to be your broadcast team for next season, but fingers crossed we will still be seeing you at some point in the future, because I'm really going to miss this championship, Chaz. It has been amazing, hasn't it? All the way from the very first round that we covered back in season 4 up until now, this final round of season 7, and wow, what a finale to an amazing 7th season.
It has been absolutely remarkable. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors. Thanks to Kame, GP2 Group and Keenan Eco Energy. Thanks to all the organisers for having us here on Chaz Draycott Media as the broadcasters for this season. And thanks to all the drivers and all the amazing characters that we've had a chance to speak to this season and to commentate on. It has been a joy to cover this, and what an incredible, incredible group of people. So sorry about the technical issues earlier on in the season, but we got it sorted in the end, and hopefully we'll be back in the near future for you all. That's all from us here, though, on Chaz Draycott Media for tonight and this season. Yanis Albert and Alex Fretwell are your class champions, and a very, very touching tribute goes on for Ryan Ottens. We'll now, of course, leave you with the video that was made in his honour for the end of the stream and the end of the season. Thank you once again, Ed May, too, for commentating with me. I've been Chaz Draycott here on Chaz Draycott Media for the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship Season 7 Split A. And a quick thank you as well to Joe Glass and Dara Thacker over on Split B. They've done a wonderful job this season. And we'll hopefully see you all again very, very soon. Have a good night, everyone.